Welcome back. Learn English pronunciation with IK. With, not from. I'm not native speaker. I'm no native speaker. And you can learn pronunciation, English pronunciation from me, but you can learn with me. With me. Okay, today something about my professor. Until this moment, I had the best teachers, English teachers. It is AJ Hoge and Vladimir Skenderoff. I agree 100% with all what they said, what they talked about teaching English. 100% with both of them. But Vladimir Skenderoff don't agree with AJ Hoge in all points in his 7 rules. Don't agree in all rules. And how it is possible that I agree 100% with both, but they don't agree, but Vladimir don't agree with AJ Hoge in some rule. Vladimir think contrary. There is no logic. There is no logic. There is no premise and conclusion that I agree with both, but they don't agree between yourself. Because of that, here is my explain. Explain one very important thought about that is every learner is unique. I heard that somewhere. It is not my thought, but I think that is it like that. I think I agree with constatation that every students, every learners in the world is unique. What it means? It means that every learners listen. Now you listen what I spoke, but every of you have his experience around every sentence, every thought, every of my context. Around my context, you have your context because you have your experience. Like that, around AJ Hoge 7 rule and Skenderoff books, every context inside that books and that rules, I have my experience. And I think through that experience. I thinking every sentence and every context, because sentence is not enough, but context is enough more enough, but again, don't enough, because you have your context, your experience around that. For example, Vladimir Skenderoff was write excellent book, 2 books about grammar and virtually native and grammar. Two separate excellent books. Helped me, meaning me a lot of in my learning. But Vladimir Skenderoff cannot, and nobody in the world cannot write, for example, 7 billion context for 7 billion people in the world, for 7 billion, potentially 7 billion learners, theoretically. And what he do, he write short, he write bit, he write core, and around that core he said 1, 2 or no sentence more, like some context about topic, and he know that every of us will make our experience, will going to think about that with our unique experience. For this video, 2 examples. Example 1. A.J. Hoge, one of rules, A.J. Hoge is trash your book, trash your grammar, your textbook, trash, and you learn through ear. You learn through ear. It is one of 7 rules, and Vladimir don't agree with that. But they both are right. Why? Because I, with my experience, look at on that AJ explanation of that rules that we years by years we have been learning English by on traditional kind, and we don't know speak. We don't know converse with people face to face. Yes, it was my situation, and he said, okay, pronunciation. He's specialized. His method is pronunciation for people who is not fluent and confident in conversation. And I need that. And I listen and listen and listen because I need it. But A.J. Hoge, in his elaboration in video and in his lot of video, he also, and in his lesson, he also have a separate lecture where he said how reading is important. How reading, and he said, okay, reading is important. But I think, with my experience, it is right. I'm beginning with reading interesting books, interesting context, and look at first in dictionary, bilingual. After that, I'm very excited when I discover monolingual long before internet, monolingual, and Vladimir is absolutely right. That is the best beginning. But I thinking about A.J. Hoge when he spoke about reading, and he spoke every lesson for listening. He said, you must understand, and you read text, transcript of my speech, understand sentence by sentence. You all must understand. Look at in dictionary, and when you understand, you listen. Listen again. Look at rhythm, accent, rhythm, intonation, pause. But when I look at text, I'm very interested in grammar, because I am that teacher about what A.J. Hoge speak. I'm that teacher who a lot of years learn from book, read book, look at text, and grammar is something very exciting and interesting for me. And when I look at text, I think about grammar. And in his lesson, A.J. Hoge point of view story, he spoke only in future, present, future, and past simple. It's okay, but when I look at text, who interested me, and A.J. Hoge speak about text, you read, you begin, you read. When I look at text, I see other tenses, present perfect, past perfect, etc. And it is very interesting for me. It is my experience and my context around A.J. Hoge, that one rule. And he's right, but every of us must take that words like he want. I need a lot of listening, because I no listen. A bit listening, a few listening, and I need listening. And A.J. Hoge said, for talking, you must 10 times, 100 times more listening. And it is excellent. It was, I understand that it is our brain speeches automatically. And for that automatic, it is process between brain and my mood, and brain must automatically give words to my mood, and also my brain must automatically understand English what coming through earth. But and I need listening, and I listening every day, 2 hours, 1 year, 2 years, now 3.5 years. Maybe I have 4,000 to 5,000 listening, and maybe only this moment only 100 hours talking. It is that difference. What you hear me now, it is my training of speech, of free speech, without script before, and without now. I'm not reading now. And okay, I go back. And A.J. Hoge is right that he accented importance of automatically speech, automatically listen, but for that we must listen, and he's right. Through that listen, we must know grammar, what is future, past, and but what A.J. Hoge must know that we, about whom they spoke, for whom they make lessons and spoke and talk on the YouTube, that we cannot forget grammar, that we cannot trash a grammar book. Cannot be, because we know write, we know read, like said Vladimir Skenderoff. We know, we use the dictionary, what A.J. Hoge also said. You must understand text, you look at text, you read text before, and after that you listen, and listen. You know, knowing, you know, you understand, and you listen, you must understand. Without understand, there is no learning. And when we look at text, we like grammar. We see grammar. We cannot say that we don't see grammar. We see grammar and thinking about, and it is very interesting now. It is more interesting than grammar, more interesting than ever before, because now I need grammar. With reading book, I have grammar, I need grammar, I cannot with grammar. But now, with the listening, because it is all fast, the conversation is very, very complicated, and I must catch grammar fast. My mind must catch fast, because I have time for grammar when I'm reading. And it is all okay. Understand grammar, reading, understand. Yeah, I read very slowly. I enjoy reading, and I was surprised when people speak about fast reading. Well, it is impossible, but it is individual. And I think I have time. I'm no hurry. Please, I can go back, I can read 2 times, 3 times one sentence, take a look at the dictionary, monolingual, of course. And it was a process of reading, but speaking, I have contact with, understanding every word, understanding grammar. Understanding grammar, because I cannot separate that both. I cannot stop thinking about grammar. Because I'm adult who know and learn through schools grammar, who write, and because writing I know grammar of my mother language, and I cannot resolve, because altogether is very interesting. But what is very important, that because of that, I listen one sentence. I listen one sentence 100 times. I listen by walking 100 times, because first I listen every word, I know meaning, I listen every word. After that I listen written, pause. It was listening like reading. Have time. Listening, I cannot push back, video again, or mobile again, back, recording back, play, back, play, back, play. It is process, it is not conversation. It is listening like by eye, but listening through my ear. I listening, recording. Listening, recording. It means I can slow down in 50, 75, now YouTube, movie, we can slowly, and we can make slowing flow, and listen in slowing, understand, look at word, understand, and repeat, listen, repeat, listening, repeat, dialogue, only one sentence, repeat, and complete. Analyze that sentence, have in head, and it is not boring. It is very interesting because you control, you manage that, how many listen, because you won't listen on that. You listen, I don't catch this rhythm, I don't catch this pause. Where is pause? Which words is connected? What words is together? Like one words and pause, and after that other words connected. It is very interesting and a lot of job. But I know that I must speak without translating my mother language and without thinking about grammar. And A.J. Hoge thinking on that listening, but I repeat, he said, trash books, grammar in the trash grammar, trash textbook, but he said, look at text before listening, understand the text before listening. And, but I know what A.J. Hoge think. A.J. Hoge think, first of all, listening, and long after that, talking, and that together make us automatically. His accent is pronunciation. Pronunciation means words what go on the mouth. And because of that, his 7 rules is about his method. Vladimir Skenderoff, and now in the last video said that starter in learn English language, when starting that, we must read interesting content, use as soon as possible bilingual, use bilingual, but as soon as possible monolingual dictionary, and listen. Okay, it's excellent. It is excellent. I agree, 100%. But my experience, because I have been learning English 40 years. My experience is, okay, Vladimir, you are right, but my experience said that I now, with this knowing, when I now start learning, I start like I was started. It is reading, bilingual, and as soon as possible monolingual. Reading, and that beginning, not listening at the beginning, but as soon as possible start listening. Because reading, dictionary, and listening, it is lot of job. It means it is. I said now 100 times one sentence. Repeat on recording. After that, 20, 30 times I speak. I compare. I shadowing. All that method I used, and it was interesting. And after that, all I speak like you see how I speak. It is never mind with English. When YouTube when translate me, he translate me in Holland. It means that YouTube, Google don't translator don't recognize my language like English, and you know what it means. But it's like that. About that we can speak in some other video. I go back, and when I now beginning, for example, I a lot of time try learn German, and stop, try, stop. And I learn German by reading one student's book. But now when I start again, I think starting again daily learn German, I start with reading and look at bilingual and look at monolingual dictionary or bilingual at first, and reading, concentrate of reading, use monolingual and reading interesting content, news, books, etc. And concentrate on that I, through my eyes, have some vocabulary. And after that, maybe till 2000 common words, I would read and translate every word and a little know grammar, and concentrated by eyes. And after some times, when I have some vocabulary, when I have some idea about sentence in German, in construction, after that I start listening like in English what was. And when I start listening, it must be listening 1 hour by walking, listening 1 hour, 2 hours, listening through my ear, and one sentence listening 100 times. Because of that, I cannot in begin read and listening like Vladimir said. Vladimir said that accent is more reading, and because of that, I 100% agree with Vladimir. But you see, my experience, no, for me, but I don't know for others, for other students. For me, today, when I start German again, I concentrate only on reading and bilingual, or as fast as soon as monolingual, because if I start with listening and reading, it was dispersion of focus. There is no focus. I must enjoy through eyes in sentence. I must enjoy what I discover by eyes, discovering constructions in subject, word, noun, prepositions, conclusion, connections, verb, noun, adverb, adjective. I must that concentrate by eyes and have not need. I don't need that listen because it is dispersion of my focus. After that, maybe I will try. Maybe after, but if I read only one sentence, maybe it was boring for me. If I read a book, it means that I would read book, and maybe stop on some sentence by eyes. But when I have some vocabulary, I start listening and lot of listening, and maybe I can simultaneously, maybe I can read and listening. Like now, I every day reading English, and I reading English every day, 40 years, but now I every day listen English and reading English, and I must say that in the same time I have audiobooks, and I buy textbooks and audiobooks, and when I look at, I must sit down. It is first reason that is different than walking and listening. It is listening you can by walking. You have circulation, and it is physically you are circulation, brain have a lot of food, and all is upset. But when I reading, I must sit down. And when I sit down and look at in text, it is one peaceful position of my body, and in same time listening, it is a little, maybe more, dispersion of my focus. It means that I don't have not quality in listening and have not a maximal quality in reading, because my brain go by eyes, go thinking about content and don't thinking about listening. And I don't know, does it, how many, how useful is it in learning? I explore it. I must explore that situation more. Also, when I look at in YouTube, when I look at on content, when I look at text in the transcript of people who speak, and I listen that speech. It is maybe in the future, in my experience, I discover something. But now, for me, is the best reading separate from separate listening. I enjoy in listening when I know text, and listening that concentrate on only on pronounce, only on melody and rhythm. When I reading, I concentrate on content and what means reading? It means reading that you go sentence by sentence by sentence by sentence, you go flow. You read book. But, and interesting, it is interesting in reading, but in listening, I must stop. I must, on one sentence, I must on one sentence, and because I'm not fast, my brain is slow in the beginning. After many listening, after many training in listening and talking, I will be fast. And normal in our situation from Neanderthals is that we separate listening. Listening is something concentrate on listening, on the noises in nature. It is concentration listening. But sometimes you concentrate on eyes. You concentrate on eyes in some point. Our eyes is in front and can concentrate on some point, and you concentrate in that moment. I think that our ears don't hear good, maybe don't hear nothing, because through eyes you concentrate, all energy go in concentration through eyes. And contrary, when we listen, all energy go in listening, and we listening all around us. We listening, we know from where coming that noise, that voice, and together it is impossible. Together means both energy concentrate through eyes, both energy, and both energy concentrate both sensors. When both sensors work together, it means that same energy, our one energy go half, or in some percent in one sensor, in some percent in other, and we are not our straight, our power is not like we concentrate through one sensor. And because of that, reading is reading, listening is listening. It is two separate. And because of that, I would be like beginner again, first reading through eyes and dictionary, and concentrate and want to read that news, article, paragraph, complete, translate, look at with eyes, concentrate about what speak, about what write that paragraph, that 1, 2, 3, 4 sentences, and paragraph by paragraph, listen bigger article, or reading interesting book, and growing my vocabulary size. And in some point I start listening separately. Look at text and listening, and only listening, but every day. And Vladimir Skenderoff maybe agree with me, because when he said you must reading and you must listening, you must in begin little more reading, but he don't said about that nothing more. He not explain what I explain now from my experience. I agree 100% with him, but I now said that I begin only with reading, and when I start listening, it will be separate. Maybe that days, 100 times I would listening only one sentence, but that days I would read 10, maybe 20, maybe in the beginning, maybe 10, maybe 2 pages of book. This is separate. It is complete, because of focus, power of focus sensors. Impossible that 2 sensors in same time have maximum focus. It is not maximum. In the best can have, every sensor can have 50%, of our energy. But concentrate is when we use one sensor and all our energy go in that one sensor. Maybe eyes, maybe birds. Because of that, people sometimes closed eyes and listening. It is maximum concentration through listening.